Welcome back. So the news from the street is that it is retaining most of the morning gains. Equity is doing quite all right with a 55-point up move on the Nifty. Let's now figure out what's happening in the commodities universe. Manisha Gupta is back with us. Good morning, Manisha.
Morning, Sylvia, and thank you so much for that. Well, good 2019 is how we've begun it for commodities. Almost all the sectors actually have seen very strong gains. Take a look at the crude oil prices, 2.5% up on your screens right now, and we have gained 16% from December lows. This is the longest rally that we have seen in last 17 months, and we are trading back around those multi-month highs when it comes to the crude oil prices. Well, the OPEC and the allies have begun to cut output cuts, and the Saudi Arabia is cutting much more than what they had agreed into that agreement. So we are looking at nearly 8 lakh barrels per day of a cut is what Saudi Arabia is talking about, and that has been supportive for the markets. Add to that the fact that you also are looking at the US and China talks continuing into a third day today. It also has been about the soft stance that the US Fed seems to be taking. The weakness in US dollar, all of that has been supportive, and that really has lent its gains to the crude prices. On MCX, 2.5% up is how we have open trade here. Well, the talks between US and China and the kind of progress that we are hearing coming in from both the official premiers there has led to the gains in the base metal prices. Also, if you took a look at the copper, zinc, aluminum, all of these metals actually gained nearly 1.5% overnight. And we have seen further gains come in for the Shanghai and the LME markets right now. So whether it's copper, which is up now 3% in last two trading sessions, or it is zinc or lead, which also have gained by the same amount, markets are looking at very strong gains continuing here. Also, the China stimulus measures that we have seen in the recent days, some buying that has begun in China from the US, and the China premier saying that they are looking to boost investment and sales in automobiles also seems to be leading to the rally there. A quick word on the gold and silver prices, where we have seen flat trades come in, but the weakness in US dollar, the stance that you wouldn't see the interest rate hikes at the same pace in 2019 as the previous year has been supportive as well. So very close to 6-month highs for gold prices, flat trades in the silver prices, while it is trading at 39,300 in the futures. 40,000 rupees per kg is what we have seen in case of silver prices in the spot markets there. Trading strategies, and we have them today coming in from Sumit Bagaria of Choice Broking. It is a buy in case of gold prices. 31,850 is the target coming in for that one. The other strategy, of course, is in case of the zinc prices. 179 is the level to watch out for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Manisha, for that. Those are the positive cues in the commodity space. We are going to get to Sadbhav Infra in just a bit, but we are also in the start of the earnings season. And as you can imagine, a lot of factors can impact the overall performance. Of course, global growth concerns would have impacted the third quarter considerably, China's slowdown, and of course, rupee and crude movement. So we've spoke to a bunch of market experts at the start of the third quarter numbers in our program, Quarter Se Quarter Tak, or QSQT. Here are some comments we got in terms of what you should brace yourself for in the third quarter numbers.
This year is going to be a year of banking. I'm very clear about that, and consumption. So while we may, at various interval of time discuss about capex and, cyclicals, the fact of the matter over the last few years has been sectors which have delivered earnings growth has been private banks or financials, if you can include NBFC, auto, IT and consumer to an extent. This year, auto is looking a bit shaky at the moment, but maybe over the next 3-4 months we'll get more clarity over there. So, our approach has been the same, build a nucleus of the portfolio around this 4-5 sectors, spend 80% of time there, and then rest 20% you can, spread it over the other 10-11 sectors. But the big call for 2019 is this is going to be a year of banking.
I think it will be a reasonable quarter for IT, given that we make too much about the rupee being a tailwind or a headwind. I think they are mostly hedged, and rupee weakness or strength may not play out. It will be a status quo as that goes. So we think treasury profit will be the one which will be key, but we think that in the large cap TCS could be outperform. However, we think Infosys is a dark horse, given that they've been guiding very positively, and some of their Europe-centric business may show a lot of return. So it will be TCS, Infosys and Mindtree in the mid caps, which had a disastrous quarter last quarter, but this quarter we think some of the verticals may play out on the positive side. We think these three stocks could be relative outperformers on the earnings front.
I think this time BFSI, it's going to be a very clear banking versus the NBFC space. And BFSI in banking is going to do pretty well, especially the corporate banks based on loan growth as well as recovery in the bond portfolio. So this is going to be two legs basically where this corporate banks would be running, and they are going to show stellar numbers there. On the contrast, basically NBFC space is going to be much challenged, definitely because of growth, and though their cost of capital would have come down a bit, but I think they would be challenged for growth. So I think that is kind of a contrast we're going to see in the NBFC, in the BFSI space this time.
Speaking of NBFCs, just taking off from the point Nishchal was making, not related, but just Bajaj Finance, interesting selling on the stock now. It's actually dipped into negative territory. So marquee, big name on the NBFC side, but right now for this morning on the sell side of the screen. Let's take a break on that note. On the other side, we'll have Rakesh Kumar of Elara Capital joining in to talk about the banking sector outlook ahead of the Q3 numbers.